Right, well, we've got a little bit of a challenge here, and what it is for my dinner I'm going to allow myself 2 slices of bread. One of them I'm going to toast and one of them I'm going to butter, and 1 clove of garlic. Well, in itself that's not too bad, but the challenge is just to top it up a bit. I'll top it up with whatever I can find while I'm out with the dog this morning. And it's not really quite spring yet, although it is getting that way. So there's not a great deal of stuff about, but I know there will be something about. So that's the challenge then, and we'll see how we get on. Dinner from the hedgerows, if you like. Right, well, when I bring the dog out, I'm very rarely out walking aimlessly, and this morning I'm looking for my dinner. So if I don't find anything, I'll just have 2 slices of bread and a piece of garlic, and that'll be it. But I think we can do a bit better than that. So I'm out looking for me dinner. I have a basic idea of what I'm after, which isn't very much, but you never know what you're going to happen across, and I'm always looking for something while I'm out. There's the horse up on the top field there, I don't know whether you can see it. There's the dog doing a litter picking. The amount of bottles she has picked up. You got to be careful though. I think she's learnt now. The tops can be dangerous. We did have one choking episode, and I think that taught the dog as much as it taught me. I thought I was going to have to do the Heimlich manoeuvre on her. That'll go in my bag and I'll put it in the bin. Although it is a losing battle if you just look in there. See all the rubbish in there. So you don't get worried about it, just do your bit. Don't worry. Well, we're almost here on the first item. I'll just pick this rubbish up. Oh, this is full of juice, this as well. It hasn't been opened, in fact. So maybe that's the first find for me dinner. Fizzy Vimto. It's not been opened. So there we go, we've got a bit of sugar with the dinner. Hey, leave that. I don't know, you just can't make it up, can you? Right, so down here then we've got part of the first course, and you can see it here. I'll give you a closer view. And I know it as goose grass, but some people might know it as cleavers. And it's just young and just coming up now. But it'll stick to your hand, because it's got little tiny hairs on it like Velcro. And when you cook it, I don't want to eat it here from the ground, because there's a tree above it and I can see pieces of bird crap in it, and birds have worms. So we'll have to cook this before we eat it. Well, we could just eat one little bit, couldn't we? A bit there. Right, the next one's not too far away at all, but the next one I do need gloves for, and that is the stinging nettle, and that's quite a staple diet, and they're excellent at this time of year when they're so young. There's a lot over here. We're also this hedge is hawthorn, and the hawthorn's out, and we'll also take a few of those hawthorn buds. Not many, just a few nests I can see in there. So I don't have a tripod, and there's nowhere really to stick the camera, so I'll just get a few nettles and a few hawthorn buds. Go up there. You know. She's got another bottle. These are quite nice. I've got a very, very slight nutty taste about. Quite sweet as well. The woods have been a very dangerous place these last few weeks with all these storms we've been having. I've just stopped for some more nettle because they make a good staple, and you can see the old last year's nettle stalks here, and they make a good tinder. Well, a little bit thicker between, you know, a little bit thicker than your tinder. Something to just easily get going once your tinder's lit. Another bird's nest there. So I sometimes get some of these just to start the fire with at home, just so we don't put too much newspaper on it. Anyway, I'll get a few more supplies and then we'll move on. All that dried grass-like structure you can see, that's the old goose grass from last year. If I bring you in close, you can see the little bobbly seeds that stick onto you with the little velcro on them. So That's all the goose grass grown up there, and it is it looks a bit like grass, and I quite often get this, and it makes a half decent tinder bundle. There's something else mixed in here as well, and that's the bramble. Some of the old leaves have stayed on through the winter. It just shows what a mild winter we've had. And there you've got the buds, and these buds are also edible as well. So those little buds there, I don't want to take too many off. They're quite bitter, unlike the hawthorn, which was quite sweet. That's quite bitter, but I think we've got used to a very sweet taste in modern society. But you don't want to eat too many of those on their own. The bitterness does make your mouth water slightly. Anyway, we're off back now. Down the bottom there, behind me, you won't be able to see with this lens on. Those white flowers on those trees, they're damsons. So a bit later in the year we'll get damsons off them. Quite a lot kicking about really. And what aren't damsons are sloes. Anyway, we're off on our way back now. Get the dog washed, get some work done. Come off there. Right, well, me and the dog are back. Well, we've been back for a long time now, but now it's dinner time. So what I want to do, the sun keeps clearing off and it's going to be away more than it's here. And I wanted to start the fire with using the sun. That's going to be difficult when it's not out. I've got a Daldinia concentrica there. If I can get that going with the sun. And I've got a magnifying glass on my Swiss Army knife, which is very small. It's going to take strong sun to make that have any effect. Yeah, there's no sign of the sun, so we may have to resort to the see what I've got in my pocket here. We may have to resort to the Mad Dog Survival Ferrocerium rod, but I'll just give it a couple more minutes, see if the sun will cooperate, and then we're going to get our dinner that we largely foraged this morning. It's still in the bag. So we've got some greens in here. A lot of it's stinging nettles, so I don't want to just put my hand in there. And some ingredients which I'm getting from the house. You leave that alone. No, I just don't think there's enough heat for this. What's your problem? I just don't think there's enough heat for this small magnifying glass. Sun's not very high and there's a lot of cloud. bigger magnifying glass. That's going now, but it's going a bit earlier than I wanted it because I'm not prepared, but I just had to use the sun while it was out, so now I'm going to have to get prepared. An old fireboard. Come out of it. Come out of it. Hey, get your nostrils nipped in a minute. That's ivy. Really good stuff. Goose grass that we saw this morning. More goose grass. Damp, damp. This is well alight now. Nettle stalks. And wild parsley stalks. So my concession to dinner is 2 slices of bread, one of them buttered, one of them toasted, and a clove of garlic. And we got all these ingredients this morning. So I'm just going to chop these up a bit. We're going to lose half of it here if we're not careful. The nettles have wilted quite a bit now, so they're not so likely to sting. I say so likely, they probably can sting still. Alright, that'll do. Now we're putting it in the big one, aren't we? Big one's got water in already. Now, as I said before, you can't make it up. The dog has found me 2 little potatoes, but she wouldn't tell me where she got them from. But she found them, so I'm going to use them. I'm cutting these really quite fine, you probably can't see, but right, now the reason I toasted this bread was because to give the soup a bit of body, I don't have any dried seaweed, dried and pummeled seaweed, so I'm just gonna crush this up. Right, we'll get that on the boil. We'll also get a drink on the go. Away. Tea is just like a horseshoe fungus. So let's not forget the tremendous contribution that the dog's made to this dinner when she found the full bottle of Vimto Fizzy Remix, and I'm just going to clean it off because it is quite a bit muddy, so I'm going to clean it off before I open it. And then there was the 2 little potatoes she also found. And every time you go out, something will happen that you just couldn't make up. Alright, you get out of it. Go on, get out of it. Right, so while that's coming to the boil then, and I really do need it to come to the boil, because don't forget where we got that goose grass from. It was underneath a tree and there was a lot of bird droppings about, so you don't want parasitic worms unnecessarily. You're going to get down. Okay? So while we're waiting for it to boil, I've cleaned the Vimto off. and I notice we're even just outside the best before date, which is February 2000. So there's still a little bit of mud on the inside of the cap. But that's what's wrong with a lot of people nowadays, I think. They're not getting enough dirt when they're youngsters. Well, it's still got plenty of fizz about it. Right, we'll see how the main course is going. You come out the way. Good dog. No, that's boiling, so that's done. That'll have killed any nasties in there. So then, even at this early time of year, you can get some decent stuff out the woods. And there's, you know, I didn't spend long, I was just out with the dog. There was other things I could have got if I'd have looked hard enough. Roots, dandelion. In fact, dandelions are flowering at the moment, so I could have had dandelion flowers in there. It's a bit hot. Burdock, if you could have found the burdock, old burdock roots. That goose grass, it's a little bit stringy, and it gets a little bit stringier with age as well. It's hot. Could have done with a few more Hawthorne leaves in it. And the other concession was the bread, but don't forget I'd collected enough wheat. I've still got wheat to mill, so I could make my own bread now if I needed to. I've been sawing some wood up earlier on with a handsaw, so the sawdust is fairly fine. And I was thinking, if I was pushed to bulk this out a little bit and you know, make it a bit more less watery than it is. It was beech I was sawing up. I don't think fine beech sawdust would do you any harm. Right, this is the horsehoof tea. It's blackened up a bit now, or darkened up a bit, like tea. The other concession I've made is I've put a teaspoonful of honey in my cup, because this stuff will be a little bit bitter. Where's the wooden spoon gone? So that's basically it then. We've made a half decent meal out of what we could find in the wood without really going out of the way at this time of year. So from this time of year onwards, things are definitely looking up. Apart from this virus business, of course. And I don't think enough people are taking the virus itself and the implications or the consequences of the virus seriously enough. So just think about it a little bit. Keep yourself reasonably healthy. The virus itself shouldn't impact you too badly if you are in good health. If you're not in good health to start off with, then it's even more important that you look after yourself and get enough sleep, vitamin C, vitamin D, if you're not getting enough sun, and you try and stay away from places where you may catch it, because it is starting now to kick off. So right, that's it then. I'll see you in a week or so.